What Kelsey Mitchell just said about Caitlin Clark will shock you. And I'm not talking about some generic teammate praise. This is the most brutally honest confession from a WNBA veteran that's got the entire basketball world buzzing.
Then you bring in Caitlin, who changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball. And as a friend and as a player, you grow to appreciate her because, you know, certain doors have opened because she's come to the Fever, and you have to respect that. And I love the teammate and person in her because she's accepted it with so much grace and even welcomed us with open arms to, you know, make this thing happen. So I think it just took a lot of big pieces to make, you know, what it is now.
Mitchell didn't just spill tea. She served up a reality check that changes everything we thought we knew about the Indiana Fever's dynasty in the making. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this interview is sending shockwaves through every WNBA locker room and why rival teams are suddenly terrified of what's brewing in Indianapolis. Here's what everyone's missing. While the media keeps pushing this narrative that there's tension between Mitchell and Clark, what actually happened in this interview completely destroys that storyline. Mitchell dropped truth bombs that reveal the real power dynamics inside the Fever. And trust me, this isn't your typical corporate athlete speak. This is raw, unfiltered honesty from someone who survived the darkest era in franchise history and lived to tell about it. Let's set the stage. Kelsey Mitchell has been through basketball hell. We're talking about a player who suited up when the Indiana Fever won exactly 5 games in a season. 5. You could count their victories on one hand and still have fingers left over to show how much hope fans had. Mitchell carried this franchise through seasons where showing up to the arena felt like attending a funeral. She smiled through press conferences while reporters asked about moral victories, and moral victories were all they had. But here's where Mitchell's latest interview changes everything. When asked about Caitlin Clark, Mitchell didn't just give the expected teammate endorsement. She looked directly into the camera and delivered a statement that's reverberating through the entire WNBA landscape. Mitchell said Clark changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball. Now, pause right there. This isn't hyperbole from some rookie getting caught up in the moment. This is coming from a veteran guard who's seen the league at its worst and is now watching it transform before her eyes. What makes this confession so powerful is the context behind it. The Fever's total home attendance of 340,115 fans was a single-season record for a WNBA team, surpassing the previous home attendance record of 250,565, set by New York in 2001. After averaging about 4,000 fans at home games last summer, the Fever shot up to over 17,000 in 2024 thanks to Clark's arrival. Mitchell lived through both realities. She knows what empty arenas feel like, and she knows what this explosion of interest means for everyone wearing a Fever jersey. But here's where the story gets really interesting. Mitchell didn't just acknowledge Clark's impact. She called her a friend. Not a teammate, not a colleague, but a friend. In professional sports, that word carries weight. You don't use it lightly, especially when cameras are rolling and every word gets dissected by analysts and fans. Mitchell specifically praised Clark for welcoming the team with open arms and handling the massive spotlight with so much grace. This completely shatters the manufactured drama that media outlets have been pushing. Remember all those stories about potential locker room tension? About veteran players being jealous of rookie attention? Mitchell just torched that entire narrative. She revealed that when Clark made that controversial joke about her fine on social media, the team wasn't upset. They were laughing. Mitchell described Clark's sense of humor as unbelievable and explained that the tweet showed Clark's personality, something the public rarely gets to see behind all the basketball analysis and controversy.
I love it because as much people don't know this about Caitlin, but she has an unbelievable, funny sense of humor. And so, but you just have to know CC to know that it's just nothing but love coming from that kid, and her energy and her effort to just kind of support our team is just her way of doing it.
Now here's what separates this interview from typical athlete soundbites. Mitchell subtly reminded everyone that she earned her stripes the hard way. She talked about going through the rebuilding process, enduring the losses, and maintaining her standard when the franchise was a league-wide laughingstock. This wasn't bitterness, it was context. Mitchell was essentially saying, I kept this franchise alive long enough for this moment to happen. Clark's All-Star debut averaged 3.44 million views on ABC, up nearly 150% over the previous high set on the network in 2003. But Mitchell understands that individual success means nothing without the foundation she helped build. She's one of the most underrated scorers in the entire WNBA, consistently putting up numbers while playing for teams that couldn't win games. Now, with Clark drawing the attention and Mitchell providing the veteran leadership, they've created something special. Mitchell dropped another bombshell when she hinted that she'd take a pay cut to keep the core four together. Think about that statement for a moment. One of the league's premier scorers is willing to sacrifice money to maintain team chemistry. That doesn't happen in professional sports unless players believe they're sitting on something extraordinary. Mitchell, Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Lexi Hull represent the foundation of what could become the WNBA's next dynasty. Highlights featuring Clark and other top rookies have continued to drive engagement on social media, with a 613% increase in monthly active users on the WNBA app. But Mitchell sees beyond the social media metrics. She understands that sustainable success comes from players who trust each other, respect each other, and play for something bigger than individual statistics. What makes Mitchell's comments so significant is how they reveal the Fever's competitive advantage. Other teams are trying to figure out how to stop Clark's shooting or limit her assists. Meanwhile, the real weapon is the chemistry between Mitchell and Clark. When defenses focus on Clark, Mitchell explodes for 30-point games. When teams try to contain Mitchell, Clark finds open teammates and racks up assists. It's a pick-your-poison scenario that's giving opposing coaches nightmares. Mitchell made it clear that Clark isn't naive about this dynamic. She said Clark isn't dumb and understands that first-team honors don't come without Mitchell creating space and hitting clutch shots. This mutual respect between stars is what separates good teams from championship teams. They're not competing with each other. They're elevating each other. Viewership spiked to more than 54 million unique viewers across various networks and platforms, including ESPN, ABC, CBS, and ION during the 2024 season, and Mitchell acknowledges that Clark's presence opened doors for everyone. Sponsorship opportunities, media coverage, and fan engagement have reached levels that seemed impossible just 2 years ago. Mitchell embraces this reality instead of resenting it, which shows the maturity that comes from surviving the franchise's darkest days. The ripple effects extend beyond Indiana. All 12 WNBA teams enjoyed at least double-digit year-over-year growth in attendance this season, proving that the Clark effect benefits the entire league. Mitchell understands that rising tides lift all boats, and she's positioned herself to ride this wave while maintaining her individual excellence. Looking ahead, Mitchell's comments suggest that the Fever aren't just planning for next season. They're building for sustained dominance. Imagine Clark entering her third year with more experience and composure. Picture Boston continuing to develop into a dominant post presence. Envision Hull's defense becoming even more suffocating. And consider Mitchell, still in her prime, continuing to provide veteran leadership and clutch scoring. This vision isn't just wishful thinking. The foundation is already there. The chemistry is proven. The results speak for themselves. Mitchell essentially told the WNBA that Indiana isn't going anywhere, and other teams better adjust accordingly. Kelsey Mitchell's interview wasn't just about praising Caitlin Clark. It was a declaration that the Indiana Fever have found something special, something sustainable, and something that could reshape the WNBA landscape for years to come. Mitchell showed that you can acknowledge a teammate's transformative impact while maintaining your own value and dignity. She proved that veteran leadership and rookie sensation can coexist when there's mutual respect and shared vision. The question now isn't whether the Fever can maintain this success. Mitchell's comments suggest they're just getting started. The real question is whether the rest of the WNBA is ready for what comes next when 4 elite players decide they're willing to sacrifice individual glory for team dominance. What do you think about Mitchell's honest take on the Caitlin Clark phenomenon? Are the Indiana Fever building the WNBA's next dynasty, or will other teams find a way to break up this chemistry? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button if you want more inside analysis of WNBA storylines, and subscribe for the latest on how the league is evolving. The Fever's rise is just the beginning of a story that could change professional women's basketball forever.